Today, I'll be talking about one of the most serious problems that continues to affect our country, corruption in the Philippines. Corruption is not something new. It has existed for decades and has deeply rooted itself in many parts of our government society. But before we go deeper, let's find first what corruption really means. Corruption is the abuse of power for personal gain. It happens when people in positions of authority use their influence to benefit themselves, their families, or their allies. Often at the expense of the public, corruption can come in many forms, such as bribery, embezzlement, nepotism, favoritism, or even election fraud. Historical background Historical background. To understand the present, we need to look at the past. Corruption in the Philippines has been recorded since the time of the Spanish colonization. During that period, local officials known as principals would sometimes take advantage of their position to collect more taxes than required or give favors in exchange for money or influence. After the Spanish era came the America period and eventually our independence, but corruption didn't disappear. It evolved. One of the most well-known examples was during the Marcos regime from 1965 to 1986. The Marcos administration was accused of large-scale corruption, where billions of pesos were allegedly stolen from the public funds. This era became a symbol of how corruption can harm a nation's economy and reputation. Even after the People Power Revolution in 1986, which promised reform and democracy, corruption has remained a persistent issue. Different administrations have come and gone, each promising to fight corruption. But the problem continues to exist, just in different forms and phases. Forms an example of corruption. Corruption in the Philippines takes many forms. Let's talk about some of the most common ones. Number one, bribery. This is when someone offers money or gifts to influence an official's decision. For example, a businessman might bribe a government officer to win a contract unfairly. Number two, embezzlement and misuse of funds. This happens when public money is used for personal gain. The pork barrel, the pork barrel scam involving Janet Lim Napoles is a strong example. Billions of pesos meant for development projects were redirected to fake organizations, and the money was pocketed by politicians and private individuals. Number three, nepotism and patronage. This is this is when officials give jobs or benefits to relatives or friends instead of qualified individuals. It leads to inefficiency because positions are filled based on connection, not competence. Number four, election corruption. This includes vote buying, cheating, and manipulation of election result. It weakens democracy because it prevents honest leaders from winning. Number five, corruption in law enforcement. There are also cases where some police officers or customs officials accept bribes to ignore violations or smuggle illegal goods. This, this example shows that corruption is not just a government issue. It's a national problem that affects anyone. Effects of corruption. Let's talk about the impact of corruption on our country. The effects of corruption are deep and widespread. It damages not just the economy but also the trust and moral of the people. Economic damage, corruption, waste public funds that could have been used for hospitals, schools, roads, and other services. When investors see that a country is corrupt, they hesitate to invest, fearing unfair treatment or loss of money. This limits jobs opportunities and slows down economic growth. Poor public services. When government funds are stolen, there's less money left for education, healthcare, and infrastructure. For example, when budget intended for classroom construction is pocketed by officials, students end up studying in overcrowded or unsafe buildings. Erosion of trust, people lose faith in their leaders and in the justice system. When they see corrupt officials getting away with their crimes, this leads to apathy. Citizens stop caring, and that allows corruption to continue. Unequal society corruption widens the gap between the rich and the poor. Wealthy and powerful individuals can use money to influence decisions while ordinary people suffer from unfair treatment. Harm to democracy corruption also weakens the democratic institutions. If elections are manipulated and government decisions are based on bribery, then the will of the people is no longer respected. Recent issues and high profile cases. In recent years, several corruption cases have made headlines in the Philippines. One of them is the PhilHealth scandal, where billions of pesos were allegedly lost due to fraudulent claims and overpricing. This is particularly alarming because PhilHealth is supposed to provide healthcare support to millions of Filipinos. Another example is the Department of Education's laptop procurement issue, where overpriced laptops were purchased for teachers during the pandemic. Instead of helping teachers, the funds were wasted due to overpricing and lack of transparency. There are also controversies involving local government units, customs, and infrastructure projects. These cases show that corruption remains a major challenge that cuts across different sectors of government. Why corruption persists? So, why does corruption continue even after decades of anti-corruption efforts? There are there are several reasons. 1. Weak law enforcement. Many corrupt officials are not punished or cases drag one on for years without resolution. Number 2, cultural tolerance. Some Filipinos have learned to accept corruption as normal, saying things like lahat naman magnanakaw. This kind of this kind of thinking allows corruption to continue. Number 3, lack of transparency. When government processes are not open to public scrutiny, it becomes easier for officials to hide illegal activities. Number 4, poverty and greed. Some individuals engage in corruption because of financial need, while others do it simply out of greed. Number 5, political dynasties. When the same families stay in power for decades, it's easier for them to protect another and harder for outsiders to expose wrongdoing. Efforts to fight corruption. Despite all this, there are also ongoing efforts to combat corruption. The government has created agencies like Office of Ombudsman, the Commission of Audit, COA, and the Sandigan Bayan, which are responsible for investigating and prosecuting corruption cases. The Freedom of Information (FOI) initiative also promotes transparency by allowing the public to access certain government documents. Non-government organization and media outlets plays an important role too. Groups like Transparency International Philippines and journalists often expose corruption and pressure officials to act. In addition, digitalization of government services such as online payment systems and electronic bidding helps reduce face-to-face transaction where bribery often occurs. Possible solution and what we can do. To solve corruption, we need both systemic change and individual responsibility. Here are some ways we can fight it. Number one, stronger implementation of laws. Existing anti-corruption laws must be strictly enforced with faster trials and heavier penalties. Number two, transparency and accountability. Government officials must be required to declare their assets and transactions publicly. Number three, civic education. Schools should teach the importance of integrity and good governance. Number four, digital governance. Automating government transaction can limit opportunities for bribery. Number five, public participation. Citizens must report suspicious activities and support whistleblowers. Number six, cultural cultural change. We must tolerate we must stop tolerating corruption. Saying it's normal is what keeps it alive. As ordinary citizens, even small actions can make a difference. Refusing to pay bribes, voting wisely, and staying informed about public issues.